For those who don't know me, I am Mr. Charlesworth. During the in-person school year, you probably would know me as the student coach. And for those that are new to our school, the student coach handles discipline, attendance, restorative practices. But during this remote schooling period, I've also taken on the role of IT support and coordinating the IT team. So once again, welcome. And before we begin with a day in the life for students, there's some expectations I want to go over and some other things I want to talk about. So first things, I want to remind everybody that I'm going to give a lot of information tonight, but just take a deep breath. Remember, we're all new to this. Mrs. Hutchinson, our executive director, is with us tonight. She's going to share some things. Did you want to do those now or at the end, Mrs. Hutchinson?
Now and at the end. Oh.
Okay, we'll do, so you'll say something in a moment and then at the end we'll repeat it. But just, she used the phrase back in March that I really liked and it stuck with me about, we are building the airplane while it's in the air flying, which is kind of what we're all experiencing right now. Everybody is impacted by this differently. The transition's difficult, the stresses, the anxiety, the difficulties, but remember, your experience might be unique to you, but we're all feeling it a little bit differently, so don't feel alone, which is part of the reason we're providing so much support to help this transition be as easy as possible. We are allowing a Q&A that will take place, and it depends on if I'm feeling that we might be a little bit fried with our brains. I might break it up during the event, but otherwise we're gonna wait until the very end. To do the Q&A, we're gonna have the chat that if at the bottom of your screen, you can see a chat button that pops up. If you click that, a sidebar will appear, and near the bottom where it says type message, you can choose to send one to either Nicole Hutchinson or Preston Charlesworth. Send any questions that you have to Nicole Hutchinson, and she'll kind of be the moderator tonight. So at the end, as I said, we'll do questions, but some expectations with that. We're not going to get to every question that's asked. The goal of this orientation is not necessarily to make you experts, so you still might have a lot of questions. Your question might not be answered for a variety of reasons, whether or not we don't have enough time, whether or not it's a very specific question that's only relevant to one or two people, because it's not related to IT, or because we might not even have the answer for it yet. Remember, building the plane in the air. So with that out of the way, Mrs. Hutchinson, do you want to quickly share your spiel about, you had something to share?
Sure, thanks. So, you know, with this remote learning, new things come up, we learn new things, new rules are thrown at us. So we've just recently needed to create a questionnaire for you. And I know, another questionnaire, but this one's a quick one. It's really just more of a form, a yes or no that we need from you. And it has to do with the live recordings. So as you know, we have live recordings happening in the morning for the live lessons, right? And that's when the kids come to class with the rest of their class. But not all of our students can do that because we have working parents. And so we want to record those lessons so that those students who can't join us live can watch them later with their parents. To do that, we need to know that we need you to tell us that that your child can be recorded. So after this meeting, we are going to send a Google form to you through the parent update. And it's just a real quick read it real quick. Think about it. If you need a little bit of time, that's fine. You've got the weekend to let us know. And it's really important that we know that. Then we're going to send an official form to you later. So we thank you for helping us with that. This is really important to help us meet the needs of all of our students. Thank you, Preston.
Thank you, Mrs. Hutchinson. So real quick, before we even dive into the process of your first day of school and what that's going to look like, I just want to list out all the supports, and I'm going to say this a lot during this IT orientation, just because I want you to remember as much as you can. So a couple of different things that are new this year. We have a support email that is simply support@gillinghamcharterschool.org, and I'm going to quickly send that message to everyone in the meeting. So everybody should have had a little message pop up that says support@gillinghamcharterschool.org. That is one way that you can get help if you need it. We also have changed our phone number to include a robot message that allows you to hit a button and reach support. So the school phone number is 570-955-3830. And if on Mondays through Fridays, starting on Tuesday next week because of Labor Day, between the hours of 8 and 6 p.m., 8 a.m. and 6 p.m., you can call the school number and choose the button that sends you to the support, IT support. We'll get a voicemail, and once we listen to it, we'll give you a call back and see how we can help you. We also will have a daily office hour in Zoom that yours truly will be sitting in for an hour each day. That's going to be from 1 to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday, starting on Tuesday next week. If you have a very simple question, you can just click the link, hop in, and you and I will connect immediately, and we can see if we can solve your problem. Tutorial videos from the student perspective will be on the website. That one's still TBD. We're still nailing down the finals, and new videos are being created as we discover the needs as they change. Also, Copycat, who is our IT provider, and that was before everything shut down, and they still are. They were kind enough on Tuesday and Wednesday, so that's September 8th and September 9th, to provide some on-campus support. So that's from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., but we're going to send a little more information to you so you'll feel a little bit more guided and structured with that. So if you have a very intense IT need on the first day of school or on the second day of school, an IT specialist that is an expert in the field will be able to help you. Once again, I'm doing the best I can, and I'm learning too, but you'll be able to have somebody in person that can really, really help you out. So there's a couple different ways that we're adding some supports that weren't there in the spring, and hopefully that will help overall with the amount of need that we have. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to share my screen.
Mr. Charlesworth,
go ahead.
So sorry. We do have a family that is having a hard time hearing anybody. So I don't know if you have advice for them on how to fix their audio.
Okay. So as far as fixing your audio right now, there's a myriad of reasons that your audio might be difficult. I'm going to move a little bit closer to my screen, so then my microphone might pick up a little bit better. But once again, I'm sorry I can't really necessarily help you out with your issue right now. I would try, if you're on a phone, turning up the volume. If you're on the computer, just make sure your volume's turned up. Any background noise, that might help too, because Zoom is a little bit weird when it hears background noise. So I'm sorry that I can't give you a really clear explanation right now. But thank you, Ms. Hudson. Moving on, I'm going to be sharing my screen, and with that, you're going to see a day in the life, so to speak. And this is from a perspective that you would be on a laptop or a Chromebook. If you are on a phone, or a tablet, I will throw in some differences that you might have. But remember, this is for anybody who has a laptop or a desktop device. So I'm going to share my screen now. So a day in the life, and I'm going to change some settings here to maybe make it a little easier for everybody. I'm going to annotate my mouse so you guys can see it a little bit clearer. So the first day of school, we're actually going to rewind a little bit to before the first day of school, because at 8:45 on Tuesday morning, there are some things that you should get done ahead of time, so it's a lot easier for you. So first thing, we're using Google Chrome for the school year during the remote schooling period. So if you do not have Google Chrome downloaded and you maybe use Microsoft Edge or Firefox, all you have to do is you need to go into your browser that you use and download Google Chrome. You can search it in Google, so on and so forth. But Google Chrome. We're going to fill our screen here. So right now, the first time that you open Google Chrome, and if you're on a Chromebook, it should automatically open up to this. But the first time you open it up, you're going to be greeted with the Google screen. And this is where you're going to use your login for the first time. If you see at the top is our search bar, our address bar, and we can type in gmail.com, and it's going to ask us to sign in. Today, an email blast was sent out to the emails we had on file for each student. And for parents that didn't have an email on file, I called many of you to give you your child's Gillingham email and password. So in this case, I'm a temp student. So we're logging in, and I know you can see the autocomplete occur, but I want to make sure that you guys are experiencing as close to possible. When we hit next, it's going to ask for the password, which was also shared with you. Mine filled in already, just I didn't want any errors where this password got out on this IT orientation, but you'd simply type it in and hit next. And what's going to happen is we're going to get taken to our inbox. I have no new mail because this is an account that is strictly for tutorial purposes, but you might see already that you have invites from different teachers to join your class, their classes, and that is 100% okay. So the first step before day one has been completed. We are signed in with our Gillingham email. The second thing that we're going to do is we're going to create a Zoom account if you haven't done that already. So you're going to go up to the top in the search bar, and you're going to type in zoom.us and hit enter, and we are taken to the Zoom homepage. If you look to the top right, there's a wonderful button that says sign up, it's free. We're clicking that. Parents, it's super important that you're with your kids when we're creating these, simply because Zoom does not allow those under the age of 18 to do so without the parent with them. So it gives, if the date of birth that you put in is under 18 years old, it's going to prevent you from creating the account. So in this case, I'm just going to say January 1st of a random year for the sake of this IT orientation and hit continue. And we're taken up to the sign up page. I tried typing in the Gillingham email in this top bar, but for some reason, it doesn't send the invite and the confirmation email that it promises. So if you go down to the bottom where it says sign in with Google, because we signed in already and we click it, you can see that it already has my temp student ready to go. I'm going to click create account, and it's as easy as that. My Zoom account has now been created. This is all that you need to do on your end for Zoom. So at this point, you can simply go back home and go back to the original page. Some of the reasons why we do this, parents, is because teachers have more access with certain features if your student uses their Gillingham email to create an account. That's the first reason. Second, in the spring, some of the teachers said that if they were using a parent's account, a guardian's account, or just a random device, when they'd enter the waiting room, it wouldn't be their name. It would be a name that was completely foreign to them. And for safety, they wouldn't admit some of the students because they didn't want to let a stranger into the meeting. By doing this, your student's name will be automatically filled in for the teachers when they join the Zoom classes. So it's really important. The last thing that you should do before the first day of school, and it'd be great if you even did that right after this meeting, is you're going to join your classes. So we're on our homepage, we're signed in, and the way that we can tell we're signed in is if we look in the top right, and this is, once again, if you're on a desktop or a Chromebook, you can see the letter T, and if I hover, it says temp student. Also, in the top, I'm signed in both places. So, in our 9 Google app button up here in the top right, if I click it, you can see all the different applications that you can use with Google Suite for Education is what they call it. In this case, I have to scroll down and I find Google Classroom and I click. So it takes us to our Google Classroom homepage. If you are not wanting to go and click this button, you can always, let's go back home here. you can always go up to the search bar and type in classroom.google.com and hit enter. And by doing that, it takes you to the same place. So what we're seeing in front of us right now is the main page that all your students are going to see. This is a tutorial classroom, so it has a hodgepodge of different classes. There you can see there's a second grade class, there's a high school chemistry class, there's tutorial classes. If you're a lower school student in K to 6, you are going to see a class for your main teacher. So if you're a second grader, Mrs. Stife. And then you'll see your SPLAM classes. If you're a middle or high schooler, you're going to see classes for each of your subjects. For example, this is Miss Khan's chemistry class. So what you should do before the first day, once you make it to this page, you should have a lot of these tiles that say join. By clicking join, and some of you might know this from the spring, we've joined Miss Khan's chemistry class. So by doing this, it populates your Google Calendar with all the information that your teachers spent their hard work and time doing this week prepping for. So we're in the classroom. I'm going to go back just to make sure everybody understands. So once again, this is our main page for Google Classroom. We can see all the different classes we're enrolled in. On the top left, we have our main menu button that will bring this sidebar down. And it also shows the classes we're enrolled in. And any screen that we're on in Google Classroom, we can always click the main menu button. So let's say it's the first day of school now. And after the first section of just going into a classroom, Mrs. Hutchinson, if you see any questions that you think might be pertinent for right now, I'll take one or two. So, but before that, we're going to use Tutorial Classroom as our example classroom. So let's say we go into Tutorial Classroom by clicking it. It brings us to the main page. It's called the stream. That shows all the things that are posted by the teacher. So she's posted a lot of new assignments, and you can see your upcoming assignments. You can share something with your class, and remember, if you share something with your class, you're still expected to follow the student code of conduct. So think before you post. At the top of the screen, we can see the word stream, classwork, and people. One of the ways that you're going to navigate to your first homeroom on Tuesday is you're going to click classwork, and you can see week 1's started, and you're going to go to Google Calendar. By doing this, we are brought to the Google Calendar page. It looks empty, but that's only because there's no classes scheduled this week. So I'm going to jump ahead to next week. And you can see it's filled with a whole bunch of different colors and events. So the first thing you're going to do is way at the top, and it's going to look the same because it all starts at 8:45. You're going to click, and you're going to just click Join Zoom Meeting. I'm not going to click it right now because I don't want to accidentally kick myself out of this meeting or mess up this orientation. So I am going to leave it unclicked, but once again, you just follow the process. For those that are on a phone or a tablet, just make sure that you've downloaded the Google Classroom app if you're on a personal device, or the Gmail app, and go through that way. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now. And Mrs. Hutchinson, are there any questions, one or two, that you think might be helpful at this moment?
The big one was about, can we do this on a tablet and a phone? Or do we have to wait to do this when we have a laptop?
Nope. So if you have the tablet or the phone, just remember that you can download those apps. And if it's a personal device, that's extremely important that you do. And you simply, the first time you open Gmail, Google Classroom, it'll simply ask you to sign into the account. So it's more tactile, but it's basically the same process, okay? So you do not need to wait until you have the laptop or Chromebook. Go right ahead, Mrs. Hutchinson.
I just want to make sure everybody, especially our new parents, understand when we say SPLAM, it's such a funny word, but we didn't, because our Spanish, our Latin, our PE, our art, and our music are core, They're not specials. We don't call them specials like other schools do. So we didn't know what to call them. So we just took the acronym and created the word SPLAM.
Wonderful. So I have one question that came on my chat here. So I'm going to answer that one, and then we'll keep moving. The question was that if my child is sharing the same name as me, can they still use my account? The answer, as disappointing as it is no. Your child still should use their Gmail that's school assigned. And to give you a little bit more information about why it's important is that especially if they're in lower school teachers use, is it Balanced Literacy is the name of the reading program? And
Well,
with Balanced, so with that, they're put into reading groups based on level. So if you use your personal account, the teacher won't be able to create those reading groups ahead of time. And instead of just being able to click one button and put all the kids in different reading groups during a meeting, they'd have to sit and assign every single kid to a room. So you can imagine if there's 20 kids in a class, even if it takes 10 seconds to do each child's assignment, that adds up quick, especially, if it's a room full of first graders or second graders. The fifth, sixth graders might be able to be patient, but we want to set them up for as much success as possible. So, great question. Yes, Mrs. Hutchinson, and then we'll keep moving.
some students have already looked to see if there's anything on their calendar, but they're not going to be posted yet, right, until Monday night or Tuesday morning?
If you've already joined your classes, there is a chance that the teachers haven't created the actual events yet. Because the teachers, as we said, building this plane while it's in the air flying, they've had to realize there's so many different things that they haven't thought of during an in-service week.
Right.
So there's a chance that not all your classes are going to have events yet. But Tuesday morning, they will. So all you have to do is be patient. Excellent questions so far. Mrs. Hutchinson, this is truly the last one before we keep moving.
Well, this
Go
one
ahead.
was a good one because they
Okay.
just wanted to know, can you join the live Zoom meetings without using Google Calendar?
So my answer to that's kind of a tough one to answer, because the way we outlined it for teachers to set up their classrooms, we wanted it to be consistent, no matter if it's your homeroom teacher, if it's your Spanish teacher, if it's a cohort teacher, if it's a pull out for special ed teacher. We wanted it all to be set up the same way. So some teachers on the first day, you're going to want to use calendar the first couple days as you get through all your classes the first time. Some teachers might tell you, hey guys, my link's always going to be the same, so if it's easier just to go into your classroom view to find it, then so be it. The reason I'm telling you to follow this sequence is simply because I know that it's consistent and that this is where you're guaranteed to find the Zoom link, if that makes sense. So some of your teachers might say, hey, here's a quicker way, but this is the bare bones basics that you're going to be able to find it this way, if no other way. Okay, so we're going to move back through to sharing our screen. So anyway, moving on. So that was how you get into your first class. For K to 6 students, once you get into your first meeting of the morning, your homeroom for your grade level, because you have the same teacher through most of the morning, you won't need to leave or join meetings again until you go to SPLAM. So if the idea of navigating Google Calendar is a little bit scary for some of you, just remember that the younger you are, the less you actually have to change to different classrooms and different environments. And the first day of school, all of the lower school teachers and middle upper alike, they're going to practice what that transition looks like. So you'll have that support in that way, that the teachers aren't just going to say, okay, goodbye, have fun at music, before they leave for music or art or Spanish or PE, Latin. They're going to practice what it's like to leave a Zoom meeting and then go back in. For the really young students that are in K to 2, I highly recommend the parents that if you can be there, at least up until they practice that transition, it would help your kids out a lot. So that's joining at the beginning of the day. Let's just look quickly at this calendar. And because this is a tutorial class, a lot of the colors, I'm going to actually hide some of these extra classes. Um, so we can see that down here in the bottom, and I'm going to annotate my mouse one more time, just so it's a red dot that might be a little easier to see for you guys. If we look right now on Wednesday, right down here where my red dot is, and you know what, I'm thinking about it now, Mrs. Hutchinson, I'm going to change the color so red is not on top of red. Okay. So if you look at where my mouse is, you can see that Miss Nugent has a student office hour from 1 to 3. But on top of that, there's a geography mapping class. At 12 o'clock Monday through Thursday, the students' live lessons, they'll end, where they have, you know, for math, reading, whatever different SPLAMs they might have, their HLC classes, the humanities. And they'll be given work that they complete in the afternoon for different subject areas, and that changes each day. So this example of geography mapping might be one of the things that you might be asked to do in the afternoon. If at any point during that 1 to 3 time, you have a question about the independent work that was assigned, if there's a SPLAM teacher that has assigned work and you're really not sure, during that half-hour block, if you click that link, the teachers will be sitting in their Zoom meetings and Zoom classrooms, and you can just hop in and ask them the question quickly. So that's directly so during that independent work time, you're not necessarily looking at the screen from 1 to 3. You're not staring at your computer or device. You might have written work or books that you might have received during material pickup. But just know that you can always log back on between the 1 and 3 and have access to the teacher to talk to. Take note that down here at the bottom, you can see it says Miss Nugent's parent office hours. In her classroom that she set up for this tutorial, there is a Zoom link. But parents, you should know that these office hours are by appointment, that you need to call them or email them to set up a time. That'll prevent, if 30 parents want to come in and talk to the teacher all at once, they won't get overwhelmed. So if they can answer through email or phone call, they will, but they will have the Zoom link available if they need to hop in and have a quick meeting. So that's a basic overview of your Google Calendar, the schedule. And just remember that your links for your Zoom meetings are there that day. So we're going to go back. I'm going to exit out of my calendar, and we're going to go back to our main classroom screen here. So I want to quickly talk about if you miss your live lessons for the day. And for this, I'm going to quickly stop sharing so I can just talk and not look at a screen. So if you have to miss the live lessons in the morning, that would be, let's say there's a family emergency, you're ill, there's an appointment that you need to attend. I'm not saying you slept in. That we don't want, that's not a reason to miss your live lessons.
Nope.
But if you do miss and you know that it would be an excused absence if we were in person, you're going to email Ms. Shive and your homeroom teacher. And at noon every day, at 12 p.m. every day, the teachers are going to start uploading the recorded lessons from earlier that day. By Sunday evening at 11:59, and Mrs. Hutchinson was talking about this a little bit, for parents that necessarily can't be with their kids in the morning, or in the case of emergency, the work for that day is due by 11:59 p.m. Sunday of that week. So if you miss Tuesday's lesson, Tuesday 9/8, the lesson will be available to be viewed on a recording, and by Sunday, September 13th at 11:59 p.m., you'll need to complete the work. So once again, if you know ahead of time you're going to miss, or if your child falls ill the morning of, email Ms. Shive and email the homeroom teacher. Let them know. So real quick, Mrs. Hutchinson, are there any questions that popped up?
Yes, there
Okay.
are.
Go ahead.
Okay, for the doctor's appointments questions, that's not this. That doesn't go to IT. So
Yes.
that goes to, you can ask Ms. Alton-Most about the notes, but we still are getting notes. But there was a good one. It was, what if, let me scroll back up. Where did it go? Hold on. Okay. How a parent wanted to know, how can we check to see if work has been completed or review the work that your child submitted?
Wonderful. So that's actually the next part that I was going to show you.
Oh, cool.
And I'm glad that that naturally fell into this part. So I'm going to share my screen again to answer that question. Let's see here. Make sure that my spotlight on the mouse. So let's say that you missed the work and you want to make sure it's done, or as a parent, you want to check and make sure that your child's doing any work assigned. In the tutorial classroom here, we can see on the classwork stream, if we click that button at the top, that each week is going to be broken down by the teacher. And for each class, it's set up exactly the same way. It'll say the week number and the dates that are assigned with that week. Each school day is going to have 2 assignments at the very least for each class that you have that day. So in this case, we see Miss Nugent Tuesday 9/8/20 recorded lesson. And if we click this, we can see, oh, she has obviously uploaded some demos that these are the videos. And you would click the video and we can watch it real quick. It's 7 seconds long. So let's say that that was the full math class and we watched it. If you missed that day during the live lesson, this is where you would find the recordings. And then once you watch them, you just click mark as done. And it's going to say you didn't attach work, but that's okay. And I'll show you why in a moment. So that way, Miss Nugent knows that you watched her videos. You might be thinking to yourself, well, Mr. Charlesworth, if I'm not at home with my child, what they're going to do is they're going to click mark as done, and then they're not going to then they're going to lie to me and say that they watched them when they didn't. Well, this side is only to say that they attended the school that day. It's like if your child made it to school and walked through the door, they get marked as present. So to make sure that they actually do the work, there is also, you can see 9/8/20 assignment submission. So we view the assignment and the instructions that will appear. Once again, this is a tutorial classroom, so it was just, I noticed it's missing this instruction, but it would say, watch the videos and do the assignments as they happen. You can see that you add or create the work. Let's say during that math, they said, we need to do some math practice. Okay, well, I wrote it down in my journal and I take a picture with my phone or with my webcam and I click add or create, file, and from there, oh, look, I have a wonderful math practice picture that I took. And it's going to upload that. And here's a quick view. Wow, it's beautiful work I did. Maybe there's more than one assignment, and the only way you're going to know is by watching the video. Let's say that also during that day we watched the reading video and they asked us to do a written narration. Okay, well, I wrote it down. I took a picture of it. And everybody's device is going to be different for taking a picture. Just know that. And that's why it's a little difficult to do this IT orientation. Oh, okay, good. I did my narration for class. Okay, well, once that's all done, okay, now I'm going to turn it in because those are the only 2 assignments during all those recordings that I needed to do. I'm going to turn it in. And from there, you can see that it says unsubmit because it's turned in. That way, Miss Nugent can give you credit for the work that you've done. Now, you also might be thinking, but Mr. Charlesworth, I'm asking as a parent, how can I make sure my child's doing all the work? One of the easiest ways to do this, if we go back to our main menu on the top left, you see this wonderful to-do list. This is where all of the assignments are going to appear. Because we're using these recorded lessons and assignment submissions, there are a lot of those appearing. But if there's a specific one that the teacher wants them to do, it'll appear in here. It might appear under any one of these this week, next week, later. And if you think, oh my goodness, my child missed on Wednesday, they had 11:59 p.m. to complete it, how do I know if they actually did it or not? Under missing, if anything's past a due date, it'll appear in here. And of course, you can always say from a positive, proactive side, let's see the work they have completed. Oh, looked at all, Mr. Charlesworth's done 3 of his assignments. So those are some of the basic ways. In a traditional school, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. In a traditional school that uses Google Classroom without recorded lessons, that just says, okay, here's a math worksheet, here's a piece of art that you're going to create, here's music that I want you to record, and that they grade them, there's tests, there's quizzes that are in there. Those assignments would appear, and in a traditional sense, that's how you can log the work that your child's doing. Otherwise, if you're not sure, you can always reach out to their teacher and make sure they're caught up. But that's the basic way that you can check. So I hope that answered the question. Any more questions that came in, Mrs. Hutchinson?
I think some people want to know if they're going to be able to turn in typed in assignments, and I think that depends on the teacher, but we're also going to be writing them in their journals.
Exactly. I'm going to share my screen one more time. Well, not one more time, but again. And let's say that on the assignment submission, I know I turned in some math practice work, but I needed to type something in. Well, that's where we can always create a Google Doc, because I was linking a file. And by creating a Google Doc, you can see it's creating. And now that it's been created, you can see at the top it's already been called, and let me annotate the mouse again for you. You can see that it's already been titled Temp Student, which is my temp name right now, and the name of the assignment. And this way, and especially if your child has modifications or SDIs, if there's a specific assignment that needs you to type, that way, if you do need to type, it'll appear. And then from here, there's a turn in button in the top right, and turn in your work. I'm going to cancel that for a moment so you can see that again. I've created this document, and there's the turn in button. If I know there's more work that I need to add, I can always close this box, and the temp student document's still there. And then I can create the next project that I'm working on. Let's say in art class, they needed a scribble drawing. Okay, well, I'm creating a Google drawing right now. And once it's done, it said pop-up block, so I do need to click on it. And right here, if I need to make a scribble drawing, okay, well, it's beautiful. That completes my assignment for the class that Miss Nugent said, hey, for history, make a scribble for me. And then once again, then I turn it in, and ta-da. So now it says cannot attach a file. That's just because between Miss Nugent and I creating all these, we both share these documents. That won't happen to you because everything you create will be your own work. So any other questions, Mrs. Hutchinson, that are coming in?
Yes. The question was, do we have to mark complete for recordings if they attended the live lesson?
So if you are there in the morning and you're attending a live lesson, your teacher might ask everybody to go ahead and do that, but no, you're not necessarily required to watch those videos and mark as done. That's only if you've missed the live lesson. Now, granted, everybody's going to have access to those videos in the class, so they are there if you forgot something from the class that day. So I hope that answered that question. And just remember too, I forgot to mention this while I was actually in the proper webpage, but just remember that if it seems overwhelming that all of a sudden I was pouring in 3 assignments that I did or 3 pieces of work, remember that that's naturally going to happen during the live lesson. 5 minutes into the hour-long reading class, the teacher might say, okay, right now do the narration. And then throughout the hour, they might have 2 more different narrations or assignments to complete. And also on day 1, all the teachers aren't going to assign you 40 things to do each class. We're going to scaffold everybody because once again, we're all new to this. We're all in this together. We don't want to overwhelm more than we're already might be feeling. So, any other questions, Mrs. Hutchinson? No? Okay, so right now what I'm going to transition to, and remember, this is not to make you experts in Google Classroom. This is to give you the basics so that you have navigation. The way you're going to get good at this is by practicing. What I'm going to share my screen again. What I want to talk about quickly is if you do have a question as a student or a parent that's using your student's account information, so especially for the younger kids. If you're on a tablet or a phone that is not school assigned, make sure you download the Gmail app. That being your Google Play Store, or if you're on an Apple device, in the Apple Store. But what you're going to do is, there's two different ways. If it's a specific assignment, let's say that in the afternoon you're trying to complete work for a class that you missed. If you have a question about a specific assignment, you notice down here there's a way to make private comments. And I'm going to annotate my mouse just so it highlights a little better. So down here there's an option to do private comments. Miss Nugent actually responded to one that I sent to her already, but we could add another private comment. I need help with the written narration for history, for example. If you then click send, that comment gets sent privately to Miss Nugent and she gets a notification that you did. So as a student, that's a really easy way while you're in the assignment window. If you want to send an email to your teacher, if we go back to the class page, we see the stream options at the top, classwork. People is what we're going to click on. This is where it'll list the teachers of the class. And for some classes that have push-in support teachers, all of them will be listed. You see this wonderful little mail icon. By clicking it, it'll open up a Gmail, a message. All you have to do is, and I'm typing the words that I'm speaking. Just need to type your subject and then whatever your message is going to be. Ms. Nugent, I need help with history narration. Or maybe it's, I can't see the videos you posted. And just so Miss Nugent's not surprised, this is only a test. And then you click send, and your message will be sent, and you can close out of the page. So if you want to stay in Google Classroom, that's how you can message your teachers. But let's say it's been a long day, you know, you're looking at this, the whole page, and you're thinking, okay, I just want to go to my email and see, especially if you're an older student that might have questions for a lot of teachers. In the top right of your screen is that Google Apps button. By clicking it, Gmail's right at the top. And this brings your actual inbox where you can compose a message. And it's a little bit more involved because you have to manually know who you're sending it to. If I wanted to send it to Miss Nugent, I'd have to know, typing Vanessa Nugent or Nugent. So that's the other way that you can do that, to schedule a Zoom appointment for parents, or just ask for help at any time. Once again, we're all new to this idea of remote schooling. That wasn't just a scramble necessarily, because in March, everything closed. So teachers are given the expectation that if you reach out to them, they should be getting back to you within 24 hours. Please don't expect that if you message them at 1 p.m. that by 1:05 they're going to have a response. They could be helping out students, they could be talking with another parent, or if you send them a message at 6 or 7 p.m., for you guys, that might be when you're finally getting to your recordings, but that might be when they're finally sitting down and eating dinner. So 24 hours, they should be getting back to you. So Mrs. Hutchinson, do you have any more questions that have come in?
There's some like personal questions just about like their own. Oh, here's one. What happens if you're late logging in at 8:45?
Okay. And if Mrs. Hutchinson, for clarity's sake, do you know the name? And you don't have to say the name, but is this a upper school, a school student by chance? You just, okay, you
It
don't know.
just
That's
says
all right.
iPhone.
Oh, okay. So there's two different answers for this. The K to 6 answer, the lower school answer. I'm going to share my screen again. The K to 6 answer to this question is different than the middle upper school. And honestly, the middle school is slightly different than the high school. But let's say, oh my gosh, I did oversleep, but I don't want to just phone it in today and actually, not attend. You still want to make the effort to show up, which is what you should be doing. But by going to your calendar page, especially if you're not sure exactly what subject you're in at that time, because for a high school student, and let's talk about lower school first, I need to just stay focused on that. But for K to 6, it's a little bit easier because from 8:45 until at least 11 o'clock that you're going to be with your homeroom teacher. So in this case, if it's in the tutorial classroom, and the tutorial classroom is set up kind of to feel like a lower school class, we're going to our calendar, and you're like, oh my goodness, it's Tuesday, the first day of school, and I realized I'm late. Just remember that for lower school kids, that homeroom link, that link for whatever class that you're in, it's going to be available. The red line that appears, and I'm going to show you what that looks like on my screen for today. So this is Friday, this is today's date. You can see that it's about 8:20, and that red line is where we are if we had calendar events. So for the younger ones that might need a little more guidance, where that red line is, you're going to click that event and click the Zoom link. Okay? For high school students, it's super important that you know how to tell at least some basic time that you find that red line, because you're not necessarily going to be with the same teacher the entire day.
Right.
Lower school kids, you're going to be with your teacher a lot more. And if you do click a link and it goes nowhere, or you're sitting in a waiting room for a real long time, most likely you've just clicked the wrong class. You can just exit out of that Zoom meeting and go and try again and see what happens. If for some reason you're really struggling with figuring out how to get into that class if you're late, remember support email at Gillingham. You can call the school number 570-955-3830 and then follow the the automated message prompts. If things go really wrong and you realize it's already the 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock hour, I have an open Zoom help desk meeting that you can join. And also there's the tutorial videos to help with a little bit of guidance. So I hope that answered the question about if you wake up late or you show up.
This had more to do with like busing from another school district and wondering, what would happen if she got in late. So I think that that's more of an individualized thing
Okay.
that parent needs to work out with that teacher and and with the school, like with Miss Altimos, right?
Yeah, and if I'm understanding exactly, if there is a specific issue where every day I'm going to be late until this time, as Mrs. Hutchinson said, work that out with Miss Shive, the teachers,
Yep.
your homeroom teacher, and then Miss A, who's our front desk secretary and also one of the attendance officers. She'll get involved, but remember, Miss Shive and the homeroom teacher,
Yep.
work it out with them. Okay? Because remember, we're trying to be as flexible as possible, but we still have expectations. So, any other questions, Mrs. Hutchinson?
Nope.
Okay. Well, guys, I'm looking at my outline for this meeting, and I just want to make sure that I've covered all the things I want to talk about. Yes, now, so for the basics, that's everything that I wanted to cover with you. Hopefully this helps you feel a little bit more empowered, that Tuesday morning won't be as stressful or making you so anxious. We want to support you the best we can. And remember, and I'm going to say it again, even though I've said it 3 times already, support@gillinghamcharterschool.org is the email. I'm going to put it in the everyone message again. So support@gillinghamcharterschool.org. And our phone number for the school, and these are during the hours of 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. Of course, holidays are excluded from that. Our school phone number is 570-955-3830. And once you call, you'll have the automated system that you hit the button, voicemail is left, and someone will get back to you. And then I have my Monday through Friday, holidays excluded, Zoom office hour. And the link for that, we're still deciding how we want to disseminate that information, because if we post it, for example, to our website, then anybody who goes to our website could click that link, and we want to keep that contained within our classrooms and our students. So Monday through Friday, there will be a help desk, or a help, I guess it's the help desk Zoom office hour. It's a very wordy title that maybe I'll work on paring down a little bit. And that's from 1 to 2 p.m. And of course, there's the website will be updated with all the student tutorial videos that I will add to as the year progresses and frequently asked questions happen.
Oh,
So,
I have some little message here.
wonderful.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. Exclamation point.
Yeah.
It was so helpful, and I feel much more confident than I had been about it. And I would like to add too, that our teachers get it, that this is not going to be super easy the first day. There's not going to, they know that we're going to be all trying to figure this out, and they're going to be supporting the children too, and you parents that are there with them. So this is, get in there, do your best, start experimenting, but know that we're not expecting just to jump right in and understand how all this works. We are going to help our kids and coach them. You probably already said that, Preston, but I just wanted to remind everyone.
No, it's quite all right. And then real quick before Mrs. Hutchinson says her spiel again. So real quick, remember that tonight's meeting was recorded, and hopefully the recording looks good and it's clean. So if one of you are, if you have another family that you're friends with that said, oh, well, darn, I couldn't attend the meeting tonight, just know that this meeting will be a video that you can access at any time to rewatch, as yet another support that we're trying to help you guys out with. And also real quick, sorry, Mrs. Hutchinson, I just had a question come in. If by chance you realize that you didn't get your students' Gillingham login information today, first, check all the emails that you might have given the school, because I know between the year I graduated high school, going through college, and in the past 6 years, I know I have more than one Gmail account. And maybe you forgot the password to one, just check every single email account that you might have shared with the school. If you know that you didn't give an email to the school to send to, please, 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 honestly, you could either put it in chat right now, and we can make a running tally of, and once again, don't do this if you haven't checked your email yet. This is only if you've checked the email and you know that we don't have your email. You can put it in the chat, we'll give you a call with that information. Or if we don't get to you tonight, which after this meeting we won't be able to get to you, but if we don't send it to you tomorrow or give you a call tomorrow, then Tuesday morning, that's when we'll connect with you right after 8 o'clock, before 8:45. So, wonderful. So Mrs. Hutchinson, you had the spiel from earlier today that you wanted to give again before we ended our meeting.
Yep. So we appreciate that you are using your own devices. We know some of you are willing to use your cell phones, your smartphones, your own tablets, your own computers. Thank you. Some of you have reached out to relatives and asked if you could borrow from them. We are doing the best we can to get you what we can. We bought a bunch of tablets and they did come in. Those of you who've completed that survey, it helped us to understand what your needs are. Again, we really appreciate those that are using the things they have and can use. And as we can get more devices in, we're getting those in, and we will get those to you. Again, we ordered 1 laptop for every single child. So they're K to 1 will have a Chromebook, and then 2nd through 12th will have the new laptops. They are not coming in this month. We're expecting them next month. Maybe they just said that because maybe we'll get them earlier. That's the hope. We will let you know as much as we can as we know. Secondly, some of you have mentioned that you work and that your child has to babysit, or your child cannot be involved in the live lessons until you're available. That's exactly why we're recording these lessons. And your child will not be counted as absent. So what you need to do is, if you're that person and you know that your child has a certain kind of schedule, you just need to let Ms. Shive and your teacher know. And then by watching that recorded lesson and doing those assignments and getting them in by Sunday night, midnight, you are going to be counted as in attendance. And then let's say you need an extension, then the parent needs to let the teacher know. I mean, we're trying our best to be flexible with you guys. We know that this is very difficult. So I hope that helps. You have to contact Ms. Shive. She needs to know if your child can't come to the live lessons. And so that leads to the next point, and that is by recording these, we need parents to complete this survey that we are going to send tonight to you. It's not really a survey, we need to know yes or no that your child can be recorded. And then we're only sharing it with Gillingham students, and they can't use it. There's no permission to use it anywhere else. It is only for educational purposes. We're not going to even be saving them for very long. And we hope that we can do this for our working parents' sake. Yeah.
Mrs. Hutchinson, can I jump in real quick?
Sure.
Okay. So, and for those of you that might hear the phrase that your child being recorded, you can see on your screen right now that my face is filling the screen, that it is only me, and at the top or maybe the side, depending on where you have everyone else's videos, that's where you see the rest, whether it be on the side, the top, bottom, wherever. We're not saying that every single child's webcam is recording just them and it's a video of them. What it is the class, and if you click gallery view up in the top right, that'll give you an idea of what that might look like as a whole screen. So it's not that we're recording just your student, we're just recording the Zoom class, and most of the time it's going to be the teacher that it will be the spotlight, okay? Just in case you were a little freaked out by the idea of recording. So, well, Mrs. Hutchinson, do you have any other questions that came through?
I'm looking. I don't think so. I think I've gotten some emails like with people's like they a lot of it was we weren't contacted. So you just addressed that.
Okay.
I just got a new message though. Let's see what it says. Okay, the question is, once the Chromebooks and laptops do come in, are we to bring back that school issued tablet in exchange or just continue using the tablet? I think we're going to want you to bring it in because I think the computer is going to be a lot easier to use for you than the tablet.
Yes, and speaking of that really quick, remember that, and maybe a tiny peek behind the curtain is we were promised a date by the manufacturer for the laptops that was well before the start of the school year. And unfortunately, very late in the game, we were told that they weren't going to arrive on time. Fortunately, we were able to get the tablets, which we know aren't the perfect solution. So yes, if when the laptops come in, yes, please return those tablets. If there are, expect that to be the norm. If there's any exceptions to that rule, you will know if you are the exception. It will be made very, very clear to you. Otherwise, when the other devices come in, we'll arrange a day that you can drop off the old ones. Okay? Very, very important. Oh, and also, Mrs. Hutchinson, before, if there's any more, I also do want to say that going through the list of all the devices that were handed out in the spring, there are still some people out there that have Gillingham devices from the spring. And it's a little bit in a gray area about returning. Just note that if any of these devices aren't returned by the end of the remote schooling period, that you are financially liable for that. So don't think that because the laptops and Chromebooks come in, ooh, I have a new free tablet. No, 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 no. They need to return. We're keeping track of who has what, okay? So, Mrs. Hutchinson, if there are no other questions that you feel are relevant, then I just want to say thank you to everybody for joining the webinar tonight. Once again, we will have a recording made available. And if you have any questions, I'll go through it one last time. support@gillinghamcharterschool.org. The phone number is 570-955-3830, and the automated extension, you can leave a voicemail. My Zoom office hour will be from 1 to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday, and the Zoom link will be disseminated to students, and we'll figure out exactly what that's going to look like. You can always watch the webinars on the website when we get that finalized, and it'll be very easy to find the IT section. And then I'm looking at my list of supports to make sure I don't miss anything. Also, on the first and second day of school, our IT provider of the real IT experts, Copycat, they'll have a representative at the school, and we'll be sending out the details for if you need to bring a device in or if you need some serious, serious tech help. They'll be there between a certain time. So I think that's it, Mrs. Hutchinson. And thank you all and have a great night, okay?